Barbers of Reddit. What was your, oh shit, moment? My coworker at a salon was cutting a girl's hair and found lice. The girl's mom had left her for the trim and she had to wait for her mom in the lobby. We spent the next hour or so frantically cleaning around all of the other clients and stylists to sanitize the whole place top to bottom. When the mom came back and asked her why she didn't have her hair cut, she replied, "They found out. WHO brings their lice-ridden child to the salon." Not me, but my mom, who is a hairdresser. Did you know that some hair dye chemicals don't play well together? Turns out the lady had used some sort of home hair dye chemical that basically has tiny bits of metal in it. She didn't mention. My mom goes to dye her hair and puts the professional dye on it, and the hair more or less starts melting as the dye reacts. Her hair was totally ruined, there was no saving it. Only thing to do was to just get the new dye off as fast as possible. She was pretty understanding about the whole situation though. My entire life. My last name is Barber. Why did I read this thread before lunch? Damn it. Poor Gary though, rest his soul. When I was a little kid and hid under the table with a pair of scissors to cut my own bangs. My mom screamed when she saw my work. I remember doing it by feel. Didn't even have a mirror, but I don't remember how it looked. Ironically, a few years later my mom tried to trim my bangs and she did a horrible job. I had to wear a hat for a while. I'm not a barber, but one time my mom cut my ear with the hair clippers and she freaked out whilst I was sat there wondering what the hell was going on until she shouted, "Get a tissue, we have blood loss, XD." My aunt was a barber in the 70s. One day during her shift a man came in and asked for a trim. During the cut he just offed himself. My aunt got a bit of brain in her mouth. When I suddenly have a heart attack before finishing my client's cut. Not a barber, but when I was waiting for my turn to get cut, one of the barbers stopped cutting another guy and ran to the toilet. Guess it was literally an, oh shit, moment. I got seated with another barber, thankfully. Brother of a barber who used to be a hair model. Back when I used to have a good head of hair. His instructor told a story during one of the shows about a mobster falling asleep during a shave. While shaving him, he accidentally cut off a mole. He said he kept on putting towels on him and then snuck across the street and hid in a bar watching through the window until the mobster left. Since he was only renting the chair in the shop, he grabbed all his stuff and found another place to work after he was sure the mobster was gone. The typical not a barber here, but I used to go to a local barber college to get my hair cut because it was cheap. One girl had never cut a white guy's hair and her teacher asked if I was okay with it. I said sure, she has to learn somehow and it's just hair, it can be shaved and should grow back. Told her how I wanted the haircut. Pretty simple, a little short and off the ears. Jokingly said do not take my ears off. Long story short, I left with a bald head and a band-aid on the top of my left ear, after bleeding like a stuck pig due to blood thinners. Where she nicked me with the scissors. Even her teacher couldn't save the haircut. I did my best to try and help the girl calm down as she was ugly crying. Went back a month later and asked if the girl was there. Thankfully she was and I simply smiled and said town 2. She did it perfect second time around. When I was a kid, the hairdresser nicked my brother's ear and it bled a bit. I'm pretty sure that was an, oh shit, moment for her. My brother didn't even care. Not the barber in this story. My younger sister was. This story happened about 38 years ago, so I'm recalling as best as I can remember. Among our friends group was a very sweet young man who we called Bubba. A little heavy and not the sharpest tool in the shed, but a sweet, good-hearted guy. Bubba's hair hung in his face, which drove Sissy nuts. We should note that he had a huge crush on Sissy. One evening we were sitting around my parents' dining room table playing spades. That's a card game. As always, Bubba's hair was hanging over his eyes. Sissy was practically twitching watching him, brushing it away every 30 seconds. Finally, she spoke up and said, "Bubba, you need a haircut. Let me just trim your bangs." Of course he immediately agreed. Scissors and a towel were quickly tracked down and Sissy started clipping. It was uneven and kinda patchy. "This isn't going well," one of Genius' friends spoke up and said, "It ain't even. But I got an idea. Don't trim any more for a minute." Dude pulls my mom's biscuit mixing bowl out of the cupboard and plonks it on poor Bubba's head. "There. Just cut straight across. And she did. Then cut straight across the back. The oh shit moment happened when Sissy took the bowl off Bubba's head and we realized she had given poor Bubba a literal bowl cut. He looked like the Dutch boy paint kid's pothead cousin. Licensed cosmetologist here. During my very first men's haircut when I was in school, I accidentally cut this guy's skin tag off. I was absolutely horrified, but he was super nice about it and was genuinely stoked he only had to pay $5 plus a tip to get it removed. That's the only real, oh shit, moment that's been my fault that I can think of. I've had plenty, if not too many, what the fuck, moments though. I've had people, shit and piss vomit come in with cum, shit, mold, blood and other fun fluids in their hair, be high or drunk out of their minds, get violent with me, sexually harass, assault me and more in my chair. Please be nice to the person who does your hair. We go through too much to make y'all look nice. My ex-girlfriend was the barber in this story, and I was the one getting the haircut. I had gotten a last-minute interview for a job, so I asked if she could cut my hair. She didn't have any experience in cutting hair, but I figured she would do a better job than me. We went out to the backyard and I don't know if the sun was in her eyes or if she was just nervous, but as soon as I saw the first snip she had taken from the front, I knew she had cut too much off. She took a step back and looked like she was about to burst into tears. I assured her that it was okay, because there was nothing that could be done about it except try to not go any shorter. She finished up and the end result was kind of goofy looking, but I wasn't too upset. I knew it would grow out and I really appreciated her doing that, and although I kept thanking and reassuring her it was okay, it took at least a day before she fully believed I was okay with it. Had it been a professional, I probably would have been more upset, but everyone makes mistakes and bad haircut is only temporary. Here are a couple of pictures from a few weeks or so after the haircut. You can see what I mean about the front being too short, and it does look a bit better, but it looked really bad right after the haircut. https://i.imager.com/dcp4xs2.jpg https://i.imager.com/wo9tx2p.jpg. I was the client in this situation. My hairstylist was doing a usual cut on me, and when she was cutting around one of my ears, her scissors caught onto the top inch or so of the cartilage, like, the actual top part of the ear. She kept cutting harder and harder trying to get this thick hair knot cut. It took me saying, ow, for her to realize she was cutting my ear. No blood, no cut, just a really bendy ear. She was distracted talking to my mom, since I was in like middle school at the time. She never stops saying it every time I get my hair done. Hasn't happened since, either. Kid, 17, weight ha bunch of acne, like total pizza face and neck, wanted a straight razor shave on the back of his neck and neck, sliced off a bunch of pimples that bleed for like 10 minutes, really gross. One time I was doing clipper over comb to blend a client's haircut, and I sneezed unexpectedly. I made a hole on the side of his head. I turned him around and tried to blend it in the best I could, but the damage was done. Sad face. When I was like 5, I decided to steal the kitchen scissors, give myself a haircut, and then hide the hair in a toy purse. Once I realized what I looked like, I went up to my mom and told her I needed to go get another haircut. You can imagine her reaction. Not a hairdresser. I've had cartilage piercings pulled out by a hairdresser's comb before. It happened at 2 different haircuts, so now I warn hairdressers and take out the earrings. It doesn't hurt, but people kinda panic a little if it happens. Checks to see if my aunt posted about cutting part of my ear off. The barber my dad took us kids to growing up kept a plastic ear in a big glass jar of water. Told all the little kids, jokingly, that it was the ear of a little boy who wouldn't be still when getting a haircut, and he accidentally cut this kid's ear off. Said he was keeping it in formaldehyde to remind us all to be very still. It largely had the desired effect on the younger kids. Edit. Spelling. So, basically I really wanted to meet this local judge who was like a real high flyer in the community. I managed to invite him to my barber shop for a free haircut, and one day, out of nowhere, he just turned up for a trim. I was like, oh shit, internally obviously, and murdered him and had my neighbor bake him into a pie. I went to a barbershop where the barbers spoke very little English and somehow there was some sort of communication error between us and he ended up shaving my sideburns up to the top of my ear. Barber here. I'm pretty experienced and a successful barber with my own place, but I definitely made some mistakes along the way. This story still makes me die inside a little. When I was training, maybe a few months in, so I had a bit of confidence, enough for me to not realize I still didn't know what I was doing. I was cutting this guy's hair and I got to his fringe. He wanted it really short and I was standing in front of him cutting along his forehead whilst chatting away. I took my scissors away to comb his hair but flicked them around my fingers and they swung round and hit the guy right in the fucking iris. I froze. He froze. Eventually I asked, "Did I just hit you in the eye by the way?" He said, "I think so," trying to act like it wasn't sore for some reason. It eventually blew up in the shop once his shock wore off and someone else got him out the door. Found out a month later his wife was a nurse and she used some kind of eye drop and his eye was only scratched. Thank God, because I thought I blinded him. I gave him a free haircut next time. Just the one though. Not barber was getting a haircut at a military barber. I wanted generic crew cut 1-inch top, 1/2-inch sides. Barber guy thought I liked my long ass quarantine hair and did 2 inches top, 1-inch side instead. Just in case, I liked it better longer. I checked cuss I trust barber man's opinion on hair a bit too long. I looked like Hitler. Asked for the original anyways. Between the 2-inch to 1-inch conversion I heard him mutter, "Jesus Christ." I break out into a cold sweat but I couldn't find anything wrong with the cut after it ended. But seriously my guy, don't mutter the things. Lol. COVID cutting my husband hair and had an "oh shit" moment. Just told him to wear a hat in public for a while. Not a barber, but within the first 2 weeks of COVID lockdowns, my boredom mixed with ADHD impulses brought me to think shaving my whole head was a good idea. I also convinced my brother to do it with me, cause why not for him? Okay, for me, big mistake. Firstly, I do not have the best hairline, which I underestimated because once the top was gone that shit was pulling graph functions on my forehead. Fucking Y equals you fucked up head ass. I should also mention I am very skinny, so mix the shaved head with that and I looked like I was on chemo. In conclusion, good learning experience, but never again. One time when I was a kid my mom walked into a barber's with me and asked the barber to give me a muffet, long sides and fringe, shaved back, bald cap with a long tuft in the middle. Barber's jaw dropped and she just sort of stood there trying to process WTF had just happened. Legit the post right above this one, https://www.reddit.com/r/ask credit/comments/jhc68a/if_bar_udm_head_and_UDM_source equals share and UDM_medium_ios name equals iosmf closing parenthesis. I know one barber had an "oh shit" moment when he cut my brother's ear. Head stuff can bleed a fair bit. My dad let me line myself up once. Fucked up, decided to cut the whole thing off and go bald. The plus side to being black is that 99% of the time being bald looks fine. I guess I was part of the 1% that looks like a fucking Whopper malt ball. My mum was cutting my hair 3 days before my grade 6 graduation and forgot to put the guide for the clippers on. Had a bald stripe on the back of my head for grad. Will never forgive. My mom was cutting my hair when I was younger, around 2nd grade. She was only using the razor at one point, without the thing that makes it a certain length, towards the end. A piece of hair fell on my nose and made me sneeze. My head moved, and I ended up with a bald spot. I ended up having to get shaved completely bald to fix it, and she refused to give haircuts after that except for one time during COVID. Oh geez. I've been barbering for 7 years and I've got a couple stories. Mostly communication errors. I had a client come in with a super tight haircut, looked like it had just been cut, and asked for a 0 on the sides. I'm not sure what this guy was on, but a 0 is bald to me. So I start my bald line for my fade and he freaks out that it's way too short and I ruined his haircut. Since this never happens to me, I got super upset and felt absolutely terrible. I've had clients who text me and ask for an appointment and then I forget to book it. Then they show up and I'm busy and they don't have an appointment. I always comp them because I feel terrible. I used to work in a low-income neighborhood and worked at a black barbershop. I was cutting a kid's hair and since it was so curly you couldn't see his scalp or anything. Started cutting into it and sure enough, he had ringworm. I have hella stories but those are just the ones that come to mind. Not a barber but my cousin worked in a salon when I was a kid and I would hang out there a lot after school. One day she cut a guy's head pretty bad with the clippers. Lots of blood but it wasn't too serious. This led to them dating and eventually getting married. I was in school still at the time and was cutting this guy's hair. He brought his girlfriend along and she was watching like a hawk over me. I'm halfway through the cut and almost done with the fade when the person next to me has their trolley too close to me so I go to move it but I didn't pay attention that my other hand had the clipper still running with no guard on. I made a nasty line through the fade that didn't look intentional at all and was sweating my ass off on how I was gonna fix this. The girlfriend of course points it out and the client is actually super chill about it and has me basically just run a super high 0.5 on the sides and back. 3 years later and to this day I haven't had an incident that bad. I'm not a licensed barber or professional by any means, but I have been cutting my own hair for about 10 years. I'm really good at it, save a lot of time and money, know exactly how to do it, and never have to worry about getting something I don't like, anymore. But, it has taken a lot of trial and error over the years. Especially when I was learning how to fade. This was 3 years ago. I start cutting like I normally do and start fading my sides. At the top on my head the guard pops off, huge fucking chunk falls down my face. So me, still learning, not knowing how to fix it, decides it's best to just buzz it. Which I've really only had to do 3 times in my career. I look dumb as shit with a buzzed head, so for some unknown reason, I also decide to shave my beard, thinking maybe it'll equal it all out. Nope. Apologies if this offends anyone, but I look like I'm receiving chemo at this point. Bro, I look like a thumb. Big toe looking ass, so I hated myself. My wife still makes fun of me to this day. I got endless shit from my family, and was attached to a hat for like 2 months. This was the moment that made me never fuck up again. Thanks for watching. See you later.